I am Ashok Kumar Aggarwal, Academic Counselor IGNU. We are studying MMPC 16, International Business Management. How business is managed when we do international business. Block 1, Introduction to International Business. Unit 1, Dynamics of International Business. Now, international business is an integral part of global economy, enabling trade, investment, and economic integration among nations. Though international business as a formal discipline is relatively recent, trade across borders has, existed since ancient, olden times. Now, for example, you are manufacturing shirts in Delhi, you are manufacturing shirts. And in USA, say New York, you are, exporting shirts to New York, and you make good profit, in that. Say every quarterly you are getting order, of export 20,000, shirts, cotton shirts, preferably white color. Now, this international trade and local trade, suppose you see a local, buyer, you are in Delhi, buyer is in Bombay. If suppose you do work for him, you make shirts and then you transport those shirts to Bombay, and then after receiving that he sends you the payment. So these are done with the help of a bank. Now, whenever you will transport if suppose you don't want any advance, you when you transport the shirts, you will go to your bank, you will give the bank lorry receipt, of the goods you have transported. Then you will give them the bill and other papers regarding this particular business transaction. So your bank will send these papers to the bank of the buyer, which is in Bombay. Now, bank of buyer, which is in Bombay, after receiving all the papers of this transaction, they will contact the buyer and they will ask the buyer to deposit money. Once the buyer deposits money, then they will release the transport receipt to the buyer. They give transport receipt to the buyer, and now in turn buyer goes to the transport office and takes the delivery of the goods. So now transaction is, over. Same way, when you are sending goods across the border, you are sending goods abroad, you are exporting goods abroad. Same way it happens. You go to your bank, you will deposit all the papers regarding this export order, including shipment of goods receipt also. So all these papers, your bank will send the papers to the banker of the importer, of the person who is going to buy. So when the buyer's bank receives those papers, he will call the buyer and he will give him that receipt after receiving the money. So now buyer will go to the ship company's office and he will take the delivery of the goods, and in turn the bank will send the money to the bank of the seller, which is in Delhi, and after receiving the money, the seller's bank will credit the account of the seller. So same way it happens. That is how business is done. Now, countries engage in international trade because of difference in resource endowments. Now, for example, something is available in large quantity in our country and the prices are also less. Naturally, other country people like to buy that particular commodity from our country. For example, one shoemaker, shoes manufacturing company. it finds that in Taiwan soles are available, shoe soles are available at a lesser price than our country, and good quality is also good. So they will make the top portion here in our country in India, and this sole they will buy it from Taiwan. They will import from Taiwan. So they will their profit will increase. They will save money like this, and uh, the material which they are giving to the people, that material is also good, better than our country. You see. So that is why people do, buy goods from, abroad and then sell them. That is why they do foreign, trade. So countries engage in international trade because of difference in resource and endowments, economic development, and technological capabilities. Historically, international business began as barter trade. Earlier days, what barter system? What was barter system? Suppose you are having wheat and other person is having rice. So you will tell them that I want rice and you want wheat. I'll give you wheat, you give me rice. That was barter system. But barter system failed because suppose you are having wheat, the other person is having rice, but you don't want rice, you want something else, which that person is not having. So you will not be in a position to do business among yourselves. So historically, international business began as a barter trade and evolved into a structured system with the rise of modern nation states and economic policies promoting free trade. Today, over 90% of global trade is conducted by private firms, unlike ancient trade, which was more communal. So historically, international business began as a barter trade and evolved into a structured system with the rise of modern nation states and economic policies promoting free trade. Today, over 90% of global trade is conducted by private firms, unlike ancient trade, which was more communal. Globalization has further strengthened international business, eliminating barriers and encouraging the integration of markets. The liberalization of economies, deregulation and privatization have, contributed significantly to the expansion of foreign direct, investment, FDI. Now, globalization has further, strengthened international business, eliminating barriers and encouraging the integration of markets. The liberalization of economies, deregulation and privatization have, contributed significantly to the expansion of foreign direct investment. This has led to increased, competition among multinational corporations, MNCs, necessitating, strategic market coordination at a global level. So this has led to increased competition among multinational corporations, MNCs, necessitating strategic market coordination at a global, level. While the basic principles of business operations remain the same, international business differs significantly from domestic business due to external factors such as cultural variations, economic conditions, legal regulations, and currency exchange fluctuations, because the price of currency changes. While the basic principles of business operations remain the same, which we discussed, international business differs significantly from domestic business due to external factors such as cultural variations, economic conditions, legal regulations, and currency exchange fluctuations. Cultural diversity. International firms must adapt to different cultural norms, values, and business etiquettes. A failure to understand cultural sensitivities can lead to business failures. That is NICS, Arabic logo controversy in Saudi Arabia. So, under cultural diversity, we see international firms must adopt to different cultural norms, values, and business etiquettes. A failure to understand cultural sensitivities can lead to business failures. That is, you see, Nike's Arabic logo controversy in Saudi, you see, Arabia. Government policies and exchange rates, business face, you see, challenges due to different taxation systems, government regulations, and currency exchange risks. So, government policies and exchange rates, business faces challenges due to different taxation systems, you see, government rules and regulations, and currency exchange rates. Suppose you see you have got the order today, the rate of dollar today is, you see, some amount of rupees, and after when you meet out the order, say after 2 months you export, you see at that time the rate is different, you see. So there is a risk of, you see, exchange rate. Legal environment, laws related to business ownership, intellectual property rights, and trade agreements, you see, vary across countries, making compliance essential. So laws related to business ownership, intellectual property rights, and trade agreements, you see, vary across countries, making compliance, you see, essential. Consumer preferences, product adaptations may be necessarily based on local, you see, tastes, religious sentiments, and, you see, dietary habits. That is McDonald's, you see, menu modifications in India. So you see, key differences between domestic and international business are, you see, consumer preferences, product adaptations may be necessary based on local tastes, religious sentiments, and dietary, you see, habits. That is McDonald's menu modifications in our country. Then resource availability, differences in raw materials availability, labor skills, and infrastructure impact production and logistics strategies. Then market complexity, international markets are fragmented with the diverse income levels, spending, you see, habits, and regulatory constraints. So next point is, you see, next key difference point is between domestic and international businesses: resource availability, differences in raw materials availability, labor skills, and infrastructure impact production and logistic strategies. Then market complexity, international markets are fragmented with diverse income levels, spending, you see, habits, and regulatory, you see, constraints. Importance of international business. International business is crucial for growth, stability, and interconnectedness of economies worldwide. It not only, you see, enables the exchange of goods and services, but also fosters, you see, technological progress, economic development, and cultural integration. So what is the importance of international business? You see, international business is crucial for growth, stability, and interconnectedness of economies worldwide. It not only enables the exchange of goods and services, but also fosters technological progress, economic development, and cultural, you see, integration. Why is international business important? Because we get foreign exchange, you see. Economic growth and development. One of the most significant contributions of international business is its ability to drive economic growth. As businesses expand across borders, they create new investment opportunities, increase gross domestic product, GDP, national income, and contribute to the overall prosperity of, you see, nations. So one of the most significant contribution of international business is its ability to drive economic growth. As businesses expand across borders, they create new investment opportunities, increase GDP, and contribute to the overall prosperity of nations. Technology transfers and innovation. International business accelerates the spread of advanced technologies, innovations, and research across countries. This results in enhanced productivity, new product developments, and improved industrial processes. So why is international business important? International business is important because international business accelerates the spread of advanced technologies, innovations, and research across countries. This results in enhanced, you see, productivity, new product developments, and improved, you see, industrial processes. Competitive market environment. Second point is competitive market environment. International business promotes, you see, healthy competition by exposing domestic, you see, companies to global players. This pushes, you see, local businesses to innovate, improve quality and reduce costs. So, international business promotes healthy competition by exposing domestic companies to global players. Now our domestic companies, they send the goods abroad, so they become global players. You see, now they see that how the other companies who do foreign trade, you see, they are owners, companies owners, how what they produce, how is their product now. So they compete that way. This pushes, you see, local business to innovate, you see, improve quality and reduce costs. Next is improvement in living standards. Next point is, why is international business important? Next point is improvement in living standards. You see, international business raises the standard of living by making high quality goods and services accessible at lower prices. It also generates employment and raises consumer purchasing power. So, next point, why international business is important, is improvement in living standards. International business raises the standard of, you see, living by making high quality, you see, goods and services accessible at lower prices. It also generates employment and raises consumer, you see, purchasing power. Job creation and employment opportunities, you see, this is another point. International business creates millions of jobs worldwide by expanding industries, outsourcing services and establishing foreign subsidiaries. Suppose you are a local businessman in India, now you start doing exports. Naturally, you see, you will need now more staff, so you will employ people. So, job creation and employment opportunities, international business creates millions of jobs worldwide by expanding, you see, industries, outsourcing services and establishing foreign, you see, subsidiaries. Next point is, you see, global supply chain development. International business enables the formation of complex, efficient and interconnected supply chains across the world. So, international business, you see, enables the formation of complex, efficient and interconnected supply chains across the world. Next is foreign direct investment, FDI and capital flow. Foreign direct investment brings financial resources, you see, infrastructure and employment to host countries. Developing nations in particularly rely on FDI, you see, foreign direct investment for economic, you see, progress. So, next point, why foreign international business is important, is foreign direct investment, you see, and capital flow. Foreign direct investment, FDI, brings financial, you see, resources, infrastructure and employment to host countries. Developing nations in particular rely on FDI for economic, you see, progress. Regional and global integration. International business fosters economic integration through trade agreements and partnerships. So, next point is regional and global trade integration. You see, international business now, why is international business important? You see, next point is regional and global trade integration. International business fosters economic integration through trade agreements and partnerships. Trade agreements are there, you see. Then standardization and regulatory improvements, you see. International business encourages global standards in product quality, safety and ethical practices. So, international business encourages global standards in product quality, safety and ethical practices. Next point is cultural exchange and international cooperation. You see, beyond economics, international business fosters cultural understanding. You see, and global collaboration. People across nations interact, share ideas, and embrace diverse, traditions. So, next point is cultural exchange and international cooperation. Beyond economic, international business fosters cultural understanding and global collaboration. People across nations interact, share ideas, and embrace diverse, traditions. Market expansion, benefits of international business. Market expansion. Firms can assess new customer base, increasing, sales and profitability. Specialization and, efficiency. Countries focus on producing goods, they excel in leading to better resource utilization. So, benefits of international business are, in this particular slide, there are two benefits: market expansion, specialization, efficiency. Market expansion, firms can assess new customer bases, increasing sales and profitability. Specialization and efficiency, countries focus on producing, goods, they excel in leading to better resource utilization. Foreign exchange earnings, this is the third benefit. Exporting goods helps countries earn foreign currency, stabilizing their economy. Fourth benefit is, economic growth. Nations benefit from increased trade revenues, foreign investments, and industrial expansion. So, in this slide, the benefits are foreign exchange, earnings. We earn dollars. Exporting goods helps countries earn foreign currency. We get foreign currency when we do exports. Stabilizing, our economy. Economic growth, nations benefit from increased trade revenues, foreign investments, and industrial, expansion. Next benefit is employment generation. Establishing foreign operations create jobs both locally and internationally. Suppose you are doing exports. Suppose your goods are sold to New York. So then you may like to have an office in New York. So you will keep staff also there. So it creates jobs. Price stabilization, trade allows countries to manage, surplus and shortages, effectively, preventing extreme, price fluctuations. Increased productivity, exposure to international markets drives firms to adopt, innovative production techniques. So, employment generation is the next benefit. Establishing foreign operations create jobs both locally and internationally. Employment generation. Next is price stabilization. Trade allows countries to manage, surplus and shortages effectively, preventing extreme price fluctuations. Next is increased productivity. Exposure to international markets, diverse firms to adopt innovative, production techniques. Next is geographical distance and, transportation costs. Shipping goods over long distance increase costs and delays. Time zone differences. Business must coordinate across different time zones, complicating, communication and operations. So, next, challenges. What are the challenges in international business? Now, challenges. First challenges are geographical distance. Geographical distance, that is a challenge, and transportation cost also, shipping goods over long distance increase costs and delays, time zone difference, businesses must coordinate across different time zones, complicating communication and operations. America time, New York time is different, here time is different. Next challenge is cultural barriers, differences in language, customs and traditions can lead to misunderstandings. Then legal and political risks. Businesses must navigate, different legal frameworks, trade restrictions and potential and political instability. So, next challenge is cultural barriers. Differences in language, customs and traditions can lead to misunderstandings. Legal and political risks. Businesses must navigate, different legal frameworks, trade restrictions and political, instability. Next is, you see, currency exchange risk. Next challenge is currency exchange risk. Suppose today dollar is 100 rupees. After, you see, 4 months when you supply, you have got the order today. The dollar is 110 rupees. Dollar is 90 rupees. So that currency exchange risk is there, you see. Fluctuates in exchange rates can impact profitability and, you see, financial stability. If the rate comes down, you see, you will get less rupees. So it is going to be a loss to you. So tariffs and trade barriers, government imposed, you see, duties, quotas and import restrictions affecting trade, you see, volumes. So that those tariffs, trade barriers also you have to pay. So next challenge is currency exchange risk. Fluctuations in exchange rates can impact profitability and financial stability. Tariffs and trade barriers, government impose, you see, duties, quotas and import restrictions affecting trade volumes. Next challenge is supply chain, you see, complexities. You see, global operations require efficient logistics management and compliance with the local, you see, regulations. So supply chain complexities, global operations require efficient logistics management and compliance with the local, you see, regulations. Now, why do firms go international? Why do they do international business? Why they trade with foreign countries? Market expansion, number one. You see, more customers. Now, companies enter foreign markets to increase their customer base and revenue streams. Naturally, if more customers are there, more income will be there, more revenue will be there. Overcome trade barriers. You see, setting up production facilities, you see, in foreign countries helps firms avoid import tariffs and quotas. Suppose you are having a branch office there. You have made a company here in India and you have opened a branch of that company in foreign country. So this trade barriers will be less, you see. And naturally you are expanding your market also. You are having office here as well as there, you see. Tomorrow you will do production also there, you see. You may do. Now, next point is, why do firms go international? Access to resources. Some countries, you see, offer better raw materials, skilled labor, or, you see, lower product costs. Next is economies of scale. Expanding, you see, globally allows firms to reduce costs by increasing, you see, production volumes. The next is competitive, you see, pressure. Firms follow their competitors into international markets to maintain, you see, market share. So in this slide there are three points are there. First is access to resources. You see, some countries offer better raw materials, skilled labor, or, you see, lower production costs. Second point is economies of scale. Expanding globally allows firms to reduce costs by increasing production, you see, volumes. Third is competitive, you see, pressure. Firms follow their competitors into international markets to maintain, you see, market share. Next is, you see, next point is government incentives. You see, many countries offer tax, you see, breaks, subsidies and investment incentives to attract foreign businesses. Risk diversification. Expanding, you see, globally reduces reliance on a single market, you see, and minimizes financial, you see, risks. So now government incentives, many times, you see, government gives incentive to the exporters. And risk diversification, you are selling the goods in India, you are selling the goods, you see, abroad. So your risk is diverse. If you would have sold only in India, risk will be more. Suppose now you are 50% goods are sold here, 50% goes abroad. So risk, you see, your financial risk is, you see, minimum. Next is, you see, methods of entering international markets. You see, companies use a variety of strategies to establish their presence in foreign, you see, markets. These methods differ in terms of, you see, investment level, risk exposure, operational control, and expected, you see, returns. The choice of strategy depends on several factors, including the company's financial strength, market knowledge, risk tolerance, and long-term objectives. So now, what are the methods of entering for foreign markets? Companies use a variety of strategies to establish their presence in foreign markets. In terms of investment level, risk exposure, operational control, and expected returns. The choice of strategy depends on several factors, including the company's financial strength, market knowledge, risk tolerance, and long-term objectives. Now, methods of entering, you see, international markets are exporting. You see, businesses to expand their reach without making significant investment in foreign, you see, operations. Money, when you do exports, you see, you have not to spend a lot of money also, you see. So that way your, you see, investment, not much investment is required. Now, types of exporting: direct exporting, the company sells its products directly to customers, distributors or retailers in foreign markets. It requires on in-house export department or partnerships with international, you see, trade intermediaries. Next is indirect exporting. The company sells its goods through third-party agents or intermediaries who manage logistics, distribution and market entry on behalf of the exporter. Next is licensing. Licensing is, you see, contractual agreement where one company licensor grants another company licensee the right to use its intellectual, you see, property, brand name, patents, technology or trademarks in exchange for a royalty or fee. So licensing is a contractual agreement where one company, you see, licensor grants another company licensee the right to use its intellectual property, brand name, patents, technology and trademarks in exchange for a royalty or fee. It will charge some fee. You call that royalty also. Third method is franchising. You see, franchising is a specialized form of licensing in which the franchisor, you see, provides the entire business model, brand name and operational structure to the franchisee in exchange for fees and royalties. You see, this method is widely used in food, retail and hospitality industries. So next method is franchising. Franchising is a specialized form of, you see, licensing in which the franchisor, you see, provides the entire business model, brand name and operational structure to the franchisee in exchange for fees and royalties. This method is widely used in food industry, retail industries and hospitality industries. Fourth is joint ventures. Joint, you see, two people joint. A joint venture occurs when two or more companies collaborate to form a new, you see, entity in a foreign country. It allows companies to share resources, expertise and risks while entering, you see, new markets. Foreign direct investment, FDI, wholly owned subsidiaries and acquisitions. FDI is the most committed and resource intensive method of international expansion. A company establishes a wholly owned subsidiary or acquires an existing firm in the foreign market. Now, the role of proactive versus reactive firms approach international business with different mindsets. Proactive firms actively seek global opportunities, innovate and invest in strategic expansion. Reactive firms enter into markets only in response to competition or economic pressure. International business plays a crucial role in the global economy, driven by economic interdependence, technological advancements and market competition, while offering numerous benefits such as, you see, market expansion, economic growth and job creation. It also presents challenges like political risk, cultural barriers and financial countries. Now, political risk means Pakistan, you see, it is not stable, it's politically stable country, so nobody like to do business with Pakistan. Firms go international for various reasons, including, you see, access to new markets, cost advantage and competitive resources. They adopt different entry strategies based on investment preferences, risk tolerance and market, you see, potential. The success of international business depends on strategic planning, cultural adaptability and effective risk management, you see. As globalization continues, companies must continuously, you see, evolve to remain competitive international, you see, marketplace. Otherwise, you will lose money. Now we come on the next unit, that is, you see, globalization and, you see, evolving paradigm. Globalization is a multifaceted process that involves the integration of markets, economies, and cultural across the world. It is not limited to trade and business, but extends to political, technological, and cultural, you see, dimensions. So, globalization, we are studying introduction to globalization. This is the next unit, second unit. Globalization is a multi. The unit's name is globalization and evolving paradigm. Now, globalization is a multifaceted process that involves the integration of market, economies, and cultural across the world. It is not limited to trade and business, but extends to political, technological, and cultural, you see, dimensions. The term globalization is often, you see, confused with internationalization, but the two differ significantly. While internationalization refers to the expansion of business and economies beyond national borders, globalization is a broader concept that integrates, you see, economies, industries, and societies at a global scale. So, the term globalization is often confused with internationalization, but the two differ significantly. While internationalization refers to the expansion of business and economies beyond national borders, globalization is a broader concept that, you see, integrates economies, industries, and social societies at a global state. Over time, globalization has led to, you see, greater economic interdependence, where countries rely on each other for resource, trade, and investment. This interdependence has increased economic, you see, growth, market expansion, and technological progress. So, over time, the globalization has led to greater economic, you see, interdependence, where countries rely on each other for resource, trade, and investment. This interdependence has increased economic growth, market expansion, and technological progress. Next is, however, globalization is not uniformly beneficial. While some nations and countries thrive, others face economic disadvantage, increased competition, and trade dependencies. In some cases, powerful economies dominate trade regulations, dictating terms to smaller or developing nations. So, globalization is not uniformly beneficial. While some nations and industries thrive, others face economic disadvantage, increased competition, and trade deficiencies. In some cases, powerful economies dominate, you see, trade regulations, dictating terms to smaller or developing, you see, nations. In recent years, anti-globalization sentiments have emerged, particularly due to economic inequalities, trade imbalances, and geopolitical, you see, tensions. The COVID-19 pandemic further disrupted global, you see, chains, leading some countries to adapt, you see, self-reliant strategies. Now, key developments leading to globalization: advancements in technology, that is internet, telecommunication, e-commerce; trade liberalization, that is reduction in tariffs, free, you see, trade agreements. Like in our country, it was done by Dr. Manmohan Singh, you see, liberalization, trade liberalization. Risk of multinational corporations, MNCs, and global, you see, markets. Now, key developments leading to globalization: ease of transportation, that is air, cargo, container shipping; growth of international finance, that is stock markets, global investments. Third one is integration of cultural trends, that is global music, you see, movies, fashion, lifestyles. Concept and meaning of globalization. Globalization can be defined as the process of increasing economic, social, technological, political, and cultural integration among countries. It involves the unrestricted movement of goods, capital, ideas, and to some extent people across national, boundaries. Concept and meaning of globalization. According to UNESCO, globalization is a set of economic, social, technological, political, and cultural structures and processes arising from the changing character of a production, that is consumption and trade of goods and assets, then that form the base of international political economy. So according to UNESCO, globalization is a set of economic, social, technological, political, and cultural structures and processes arising from the changing character of production, consumption, and trade of goods and assets that form the base of international political economy. Now, globalization has various dimensions: economic globalization, free trade, multinational businesses, global finance; technological globalization, internet, digital transformation, artificial intelligence. So, globalization has, various dimensions. First one is economic globalization, free trade, multinational businesses, global finance; technological globalization, internet, digital transformation, artificial intelligence. Next dimension is political globalization, governance, international trades, UN involvement. Then cultural globalization, spread of languages, arts, forms, food, habits. Next is psychological globalization, increasing independence of social, countries, increasing interdependence of global countries. Now, evolution of globalization. Globalization is not a recent phenomena. It has evolved over several centuries. The process of global integration can be traced back to ancient, trade routes, colonial, expansions, and the industrial revolution, revolutions. Stages of globalization. First stage was 1830 to 1880. The rise of manufacturing, expansion of trade via railroads and ocean transport. Second stage was 1990 to 1930. The emergence of multinational enterprise, MNEs, increased steel and electricity production. Third stage is 1948 to 1970. Post World War II, economic growth, creation of, general agreement on tariffs and trade, established of international financial institutions like IMF, World Bank. Now, fourth stage of globalization is 1980 to 208, rise of digital economy, e-commerce, and deregulation of trade barriers. Fifth stage is 208 till present, industrial revolution, that is 4.0, artificial intelligence, AI, automation, algorithm, driven economies. Impact of historical globalization, trends, industrial revolution, 18th to 19th century, mechanization, increased production and global trade. Colonization, 16th to 20th century, European powers expanded, economies through imperial trade. So next point is, impact of historical globalization trends, industrial revolution, 18th to 19th century, mechanization, increased production and global trade. Colonization, 16th to 20th century, European powers expanded economies through imperial trade. Next is, post World War II global order, formation of Bretton Woods system, WTO, and multinational treaties for economic, cooperation. Modern digital revolution, internet driven markets, artificial intelligence based supply chains, automated, industries. Recent shifts in globalization trends. First is trade wars. US-China economic rivalry impacting global supply chains, COVID-19 disruptions, countries adapting self-reliance strategy to reduce, external dependence, gated globalization, shift towards controlled trade policy and settle, market integration, re-globalization, emergence of alternative, markets, Vietnam, India, Brazil to counter China's trade dominance, China plus one strategy, countries diversify investments beyond China due to rising production costs and geopolitical concerns. Positive effects of globalization are increased economic growth, boost in trade, investment and employment opportunities, technology advancements, spread of innovations, artificial intelligence, automation and global connectivity. Positive effects of globalization are cultural exchange, exposure to diverse traditions, languages and global lifestyles, higher living standards, availability of high quality goods and services at competitive prices, integration of financial markets, capital flow across borders enhances global investments. So positive effects of globalization are cultural exchange, exposure to diverse traditions, languages and global lifestyles, higher living standards, availability of high quality goods and services at competitive prices, then integration of financial markets, capital flow across borders enhances global investments. Negative effects of globalization, income inequality, wealth concentration in developed nations, increasing economic disparities, environmental impact, over consumption of resources, climate change, pollution, etc. Negative effect next is economic dependency. Countries relying too much on international trade may suffer during global crisis, loss of cultural identity, westernization overshadowing traditional customs in developing countries. Four key drivers of industry, globalization, market drivers, convergence of consumer preferences, global demand for standardized products, cost drivers, companies seeking cost effective production, cheaper labor and supply chain efficiencies. Government drivers, trade policies, reduction of tariffs, incentives for FDI. Competitive drivers, global competition, multinational collaborations, industry partnerships. So four key drivers of industry globalization are government drivers, competitive drivers, and industry globalized business must adapt their strategies to remain competitive. Next is international alliance, mergers, acquisitions and joint ventures to strengthen market presence. Organizational adaptability, restructuring business models to align with global trends. Now key strategic adjustments are government relations, compliance with international trade laws and regulations, competitive strategies leveraging technology, innovation and marketing for global reach. Now globalization is a dynamic and complex process with far-reaching implications on trade, business and society. While it brings economic prosperity and innovation, it also creates inequalities, trade dependence and environmental challenges. The future of globalization will be shaped by technology, political science and consumer behavior. So in this particular unit we have studied globalization and evolving paradigm. Globalization, introduction to globalization. Globalization is a multi-faceted process that involves the integration of markets, economies and culture across the world. The term globalization is often confused with internationalization, but the two differ significantly. Over time, globalization has led to greater economic interdependence where countries rely on each other for resources, trade, and investment. However, globalization is not uniformly beneficial. In some cases, powerful economies you see dominate trade, regulations dictating terms to smaller or developing nations. Next is introduction to globalization. In recent years, anti-globalization sentiments have emerged, particularly due to economic inequalities, trade imbalances, and geopolitical tensions. The COVID-19 pandemic further disrupted globalization supply chains, leading some countries to adopt self-reliance strategies. Now, key developments leading to globalization are advancements in technology, trade liberalization, rise of multinational corporations. So, advancements in technology, that is internet, telecommunications, e-commerce, trade liberalization, that is reduction in tariffs, trade barriers agreement that already done in our country during Manmohan Singh's time. Rise of multinational corporations, MNCs, and global markets. Key developments are ease of transportation, that is air, cargo, container, shipping, growth of international finance, that is stock market, global investments. Third is integration of cultural trends, that is global music, business, fashion, lifestyle, movies, etc. Now, concept and meaning of globalization. Globalization can be defined as the process of increasing economic, social, technological, political, and cultural integrating among countries. Integration. It involves the unrestricted movement of goods, capital, ideas, and to some extent people across national boundaries. According to UNESCO, globalization is a set of economic, social, technological, political, and cultural structures and processes arising from the changing character of production, consumption, and trade of goods and assets that form the base of the international political economy. Globalization has various dimensions. First dimension is economic globalization, free trade, multinational business, global finance. Then technological globalization, internet, digital transformation, artificial intelligence, etc. Then political globalization, global governance, international treaties, UN involvement, cultural globalization, special spread of languages, arts forms, food habits, psychological globalization, increasing interdependence of global commodities. Evolution of globalization. Globalization is not a recent phenomena. It has evolved over several countries. The process of global integration can be traced back to ancient trade routes, colonial expansion, and the industrial revolutions. Now there are stages of globalization. First stage is 1830 to 1880. Second stage is 1930 to 1900 to 1930. Third stage is 1945 to 1970. Fourth stage is 1980 to 2008. Fifth stage is 2008 to present. Now, first stage says the rise of manufacturing, expansion of trade via rail routes and ocean transport. Second stage says the emergence of multinational enterprise, MNEs, increased steel and electricity production. Third stage is 1948 to 1970, post World War II economic growth, creation of GATT, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, establishment of international financial institutions, that is IMF, World Bank. Next is fourth stage, 1980 to 2008, rise of digital economy, e-commerce, and deregulation of trade barriers. Fifth stage is 2008 till present, individual revolution 4.0, artificial intelligence, AI, artificial, then algorithm, you see, driven economies. Now impact of, you see, impact of historical globalization trends, industrial revolution 18th to 19th century, mechanization, increased production and global trade, colonization 16th to 20th century, European powers expansion economies through imperial trade, post World War II global order, formation of Bretton Woods system, World Trade Organization and multinational treaties for economic cooperation, modern digital revolution, internet driven markets, artificial intelligence based supply chains, automated industries, recent shifts in globalization trends, you see trade wars, US China economic rivalry impacting global supply chains, COVID-19 disruptions. COVID-19 disruptions, countries adopting self-reliance strategies to reduce external dependencies, gated globalization, shift toward controlled trade policies and selective market integration, re-globalization, emergence of alternative, you see, markets, that is Vietnam, India, Brazil, to counter China's trade, you see, dominance. China plus one strategy, countries diversifying investment beyond China due to rising production costs and geopolitical concerns. Then positive effects of globalization are increased economic growth, boost in trade investments and employment opportunities, technology advancement, spread of innovations, artificial intelligence, automation and global, you see, connectivity. Positive effects of globalization are cultural exchange, exposure to diverse traditions, languages and global lifestyles, higher living standards, availability of high quality goods and services at competitive prices, integration of financial markets, you see, capital flow across borders enhances global investments. Negative effects of globalization are, you see, income inequality, wealth concentration in developed nations, increasing economic disparities, environmental impact, overconsumption of resources, climate change, pollution. Then economic dependency, countries relying too much on international trade may suffer, you see, during global crisis, loss of cultural identity, westernization, overshadowing, you see, traditional customs in developing countries. Four key drivers of industry globalization, market drivers, you see, convergence of consumer preferences, global demand for standardized products, cost drivers, companies seeking cost effective production, cheaper labor and supply chain efficiencies, government drivers, trade policies, reduction of tariffs, incentives for foreign direct investment, competitive drivers, global competition, multinational collaborations, industry partnerships. Key strategic adjustments, as industries globalize, you see, businesses must adapt their strategies to remain competitive, international alliances, mergers, acquisition and joint ventures to strengthen market presence, organizational adaptability, restructuring business models to align with global, you see, trends. Key strategy adjustments are government relations, compliance with international trade laws and regulations, competitive strategies, leveraging technology, innovation and marketing for global, you see, reach. Now, globalization is a dynamic and complex process with far-reaching implications on trade, business and society. While it brings economic prosperity and innovation, it also creates inequalities, trade dependencies and environmental challenges. The future of globalization will be, you see, shaped by technology, political policies and consumer behavior. So, globalization is a dynamic and complex process with far-reaching implications on trade, business, and society. While it brings economic prosperity and innovation, it also creates inequalities, trade dependencies, and environmental challenges. The future of globalization will be shaped by technology, political policies, and consumer behavior. So, students, we are concluding this session. Thank you very much, students.